Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I want to give a shout out to X Gladiator. If you want to follow X Gladiator at ATBIRINO, and X Gladiator told me that they were from Paris, France, I believe is what they said. But they sent me this article here from the Oracle Times, and I thought it made a couple of interesting points. If you are for 2000, I don't really understand the way they worded the title here. If you are for 2019, here are 5 reasons Ripple's XRP should be in your wallet. And basically, I wanted to just kind of skim these. This is one interesting line. The purported next generation Bitcoin might be in a better position to topple Bitcoin. They're referring to XRP. The first reason they give out of their 5 is more banks will adopt the coin. Okay, well, this is stuff we've talked about before. It says here, recently the SBI CEO gave hints that the coin will become a global currency standard in a few months. And I think I went over that back then. Second, the price is promising. And basically there he's talking about how, despite the bears, they've trailed the market within the year. Ripple's XRP remains above water. Ripple has performed relatively well in the bear market. And third, Bitcoin might phase out. And this is kind of what my theme has been. Is I think Bitcoin, I think a lot of these proof of work digital assets will be phased out over time. Maybe not in the near future, but over time I believe they will. Now Bitcoin may not be one of them, and only because Bitcoin and Ethereum, only because they were the first ones that were chosen by Wall Street. And for that reason, they may survive, in my opinion. Other than that, if it's proof of work, it's not going to last, in my opinion. But they do say, I like this line, if the card falls its way, then we have a new king in the cryptosphere. And that's what I believe is going to happen. Number 4, the Nasdaq Connection. Now, we've talked about Nasdaq opening their own digital asset exchange, and there's been a few articles I've gone over that led us to believe that Nasdaq is going to take on XRP, probably because they see that Bakkt is not going to start with it, Aristex is not going to start with XRP, and I believe Fidelity was not going to start with XRP. And so if I were NASDAQ, I'd do the same thing. And so that could be huge as well. Next, we've got number 5. Ripple is still cheap. Now, don't underestimate the investors, especially average Joe investors that are going to come in as we hit a bull run. Don't underestimate how they will view the cheaper digital assets, especially once they've done a little research and seen what Ripple has going on for it. They will look at XRP and say, whoa, this one's so cheap, I could get a lot of it. Investors do look at things that way often, and they will in the case of Ripple. Well, anyway, I thought that was an interesting article. Next, on Twitter, I was looking around, and I want to give some props to Panda Ripple XRP. At Ripple Panda XRP, because this was pretty cool what we found out here. Instagram tweets this: we have introduced a new feature to our money transfer platform that enables our business users to make multi-currency payments to recipients in multiple countries in a single transaction, saving them both time and effort. For details, read this. And then Panda Ripple XRP asks them in the thread the question, is this new feature utilizing the capability of XRapid? Hey, this is being worked upon as we speak. Watch this space for an update. How cool is that, people? XRapid, for those of you that don't know, uses XRP. When you start when you start to see some of these companies go online and announce that they're using XRapid on a more, you're going to start to see it more and more probably in 2019. You're going to see, you haven't even seen a bull run yet when you begin to see those type of announcements happen. Moving along, and I wanted to make a point about this. This was Binance's CEO was on Bloomberg Crypto, who I've said many times, Bloomberg is the most anti-cryptocurrency media outlet that I've seen. And since they think crypto is so ridiculous and such a joke, I wonder why they started Bloomberg Crypto. Makes you wonder what kind of things that they know are going on behind the scenes. Well, anyway, they're interviewing Binance CEO Zhao Chengpeng. I think that everybody that listens to my channel loves how I butcher names, and I mean, sorry, but I do. And maybe that's just kind of one of my things, like cinnamon in my coffee now. I do butcher names occasionally, but just appreciate it for the funny aspect. But he calls 2018 the correction year for cryptocurrencies, and adds that we want to kick off 2019 with a bang. Okay, but I wanted to mention something to you from this that just illustrates the ignorance. In my opinion, it's intentional ignorance of cryptocurrencies and the space. One of the things that they threw as a grenade at this guy in this interview, they threw at him, they said, well, many people have been skeptical of the Binance platform because, they say you can just sign up with an email address and any money launderer can have access to your platform and they could launder money and all this. Well, you and I, any of us that have spent any time at all actually investing instead of just talking all this negative talk about digital assets, anyone who has used Binance's platform to buy and sell digital assets, and especially the key being to move money in or out of Binance, any fool that knows that platform and has used it knows that they require much more than an email address for you to move any money at all. You can't, if you want to go in and get approved to move large sums of money, you have to give them a passport and several pieces of information to verify who you are. And so for them to throw this out as a hand grenade at the CEO of Binance is pure intentional ridiculousness, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves because of two things. If they're throwing it out there because they really don't know, then they ought to be fired from Bloomberg for not having gone and actually tested this cryptocurrency, one of the largest cryptocurrency platforms, before they start running their mouth about it. Or it's so if they don't know, then that means they're ignorant and they should be fired. If they do, and the only other option is that they do know and they have used the Binance platform, which makes them just liars. If they're coming asking him a question like that they already know is false, what they're saying. So either way, these people don't know what they're talking about. They either don't know what they're talking about, or they're intentionally trying to create a false impression to their viewers. One or the other. There's not really an in-between. If there's an in-between, somebody please tell me. Moving along. Why the Swiss stock exchange is gearing up for the crypto asset era. Now, how cool is that word? The crypto asset era. That doesn't really sound like just some passing Ponzi scheme, does it? It sounds like a complete change in the world of finance. I'm going to read you a couple of parts from this article. Until recently, crypto assets have been the domain of a growing number of independent, largely unregulated exchanges. But with the arrival of tokenized securities, big national stock exchanges are now moving into position. Six Group announced in July that it's building a fully integrated end-to-end trading, settlement, and custody service for digital assets that will start to be rolled out in mid-2019. DLT will enable trades, clearing, settlement, and custody carried out in one stroke, saving time and cost. The platform will also host a new form of tokenized company share that will allow smaller firms to more easily raise capital by listing. A number of specialized financial players are setting up in Switzerland to catch the token economy wave. These include Melonport, a portal of asset managers to engage in crypto asset trading, tokenized alternative asset provider Smart Valor, and Instamatch, which is exploring blockchain options for its digital platform that matches borrowers and lenders in the corporate debt market. Now, there's two themes in here that I want to all make sure you all understand. The first theme is that this is global. I keep saying this. Everybody's like, oh, what if they say XRP is a security? They're not going to say XRP is a security because this is global. Ripple's global. XRP's global. It's not controlled by Ripple. XRP is its own thing. I told you this morning about a German exchange that C3 Nick had tweeted about. This is a global thing. The United States is not going to shoot itself in the foot and destroy the greatest digital asset ever created when they know that this is all being rolled out worldwide. Worldwide. The second point I want to make, which is the major theme of this article, is that the world that you live in is about to completely change. And I'm going to give you an example. I have a friend in my community, and he owns several rental properties, and these are comprised mostly of houses that are in the $20,000 to $45,000 house that are rental homes. Well, I was talking to someone about how he must be thinking about his, because he's an investor in digital assets, and we all know where this is going. What we're talking about is the securitization of assets. We're talking about the securitization of stocks, but then we're talking about the tokenization of apartment buildings. Imagine being able to buy an apartment building and have that, instead of traditionally you've had to have the developer and maybe some investors, a handful of investors. Imagine that investment all of a sudden being liquid. Imagine my buddy who owns all of the rental houses deciding that he wants to get out of the rental business. Instead of selling, as traditionally he would have to go and find a wealthy person in our community. Instead of that, he could find a group, he could go to an attorney possibly and tokenize his rental portfolio. And then it could be sold on either a large exchange or it could be listed on a local exchange. We might have local digital asset exchanges for local communities. People, it could be a group in your local community that wants to have investments in McDonald's in that community. Maybe that's a bad example, but maybe a local franchise or some type of local real estate or some type of local, it could be local churches. That's just a random example, but tokenized real estate. This is just one way in which the world is going to change. So anyway, moving along, I wanted to make sure I talked about that because that's a huge, you're talking about a $210+ trillion market. Okay, I saw this and I thought it was too funny not to cover. I want everybody to go and retweet this. I'm going to retweet it myself. XRP Vibe Motivation, at Vibe Motivation. He says, I'm assuming it's a he. Yes, it's a he. If XRP goes to $4, I'll propose to my girlfriend. Retweet this. I'll show all the retweets and comments in my wedding ceremony. And so everybody needs to retweet this. I'm going to retweet it myself. And now he's going to get more than he bargained for. And finally, legend. This is Anthony Pompliano. I tweeted this yesterday. Legends are built in the depths of bear markets. Pay attention to the people leaning in aggressively right now. They'll be the lucky ones in the next bull run. I want to make a point here about what he's saying. It is the hardest thing in the world to do what you and I have done. If you're still here, you've been through a very difficult thing. And trust me, it's been difficult for me as well, it's not easy to be positive when people are trying to take shots at you for, I guess I've been doing this since May or something. People are taking shots at you constantly, calling you names, saying, but if you really believe in what you're talking about, you don't have as hard a time ignoring all of those people. It's never bothered me in that respect, and the reason it hasn't bothered me is because I've always known everything about digital assets was the true and honest route for finance. And so I've never wavered in what I've believed about this, and I won't, because I know, and I know that we're right at the very beginning of what's about to happen. And so, but for those of you who it's been tough on, just remember, because I've been through it, I've been called the idiot by my friends before the run of last year. Up until that time, I was just some whack job crazy who was investing in digital assets. Those same people at the end of December did two things. They came up and told me how smart I was, and they asked me how they could get in. Those same people have spent the last year. Now, some of them have invested in the bear market because I told them it was the smart thing to do. Some of them are just completely discouraged, and this must not have been anything. They will find out that they're wrong. But the important thing is what Pompliano is saying here. The real heroes, the real legends are built they're the guys that knew that they were right in things like this, and they were willing to take the punches, and they come out of things like this as the heroes. And you and I, we will be the legends as we come out of this. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that you were here and you are legend. Thanks for listening.